The federal budget on March 22nd contains some startling and disappointing news for investors in corporate class mutual funds. The government is proposing to eliminate their tax deferral advantages. Now, by way of explanation, corporate class mutual funds are share classes. There can be one, for instance, for Canadian equities, US equities, international equities, and so on. And the distinct feature of these from a tax perspective is that you can make a switch from one share class to another without triggering a capital gain or loss. And so this has been a tax deferral advantage for many years, dating back for decades. Now the government is proposing to eliminate this tax deferral starting in September. And so what that will mean will be that if you do make a switch from one share class to another, you're going to have to pay capital gains tax if you are switching into something that's made a profit for you. Or it could alternatively trigger a capital loss. Now, the whole reason for creating these corporate class funds, it was all about tax deferral. And really, all other things being equal, that it always is preferable to defer tax rather than have to pay it right away. It's true that investors in mutual fund trusts or stocks or ETFs don't have this type of ability to defer taxes either. But it's been something that's been in place for so many years that it seems unfair, really, to impose this on investors who've bought into these corporate class funds, and there are many billions invested in these, and they bought in, thinking that, believing that they would be able to make these kind of adjustments to their portfolio over time. And it's also important to remember that this is not a way of avoiding tax forever. The gains do become taxable once you take your money out of the corporate class structure altogether and redeem for cash. Now, there's a roughly 6 months grace period being given by the government. Perhaps they will consider possibly grandfathering existing holders of these funds and having the new tax regime apply only to new purchases. That remains to be seen. But in the meantime, what I'd encourage investors in these funds to do is to review their portfolios, and if they're going to want to make a switch, and it is appropriate to do so, they ought to make that switch before September.